9 men, including Memphis rappers Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, are facing federal charges for allegedly kidnapping and robbing rapper Gucci Mane about a raid at a Cordoba home that belongs to Pooh Shiesty's dad.
On April 1st, 2026, at exactly 6 o'clock and 15 seconds a.m., FBI agents arrived at a family home in Cordova, Tennessee. But they weren't there for the rapper. They were there for his father. As agents knocked and began executing a federal warrant, a woman named Gladys Bain stood inside, watching as they led the father of her son away in handcuffs. At that very same moment, in a different state, her son was also being arrested, tied to the same federal case. In a single morning, both father and son were taken into custody, leaving their family shattered. The charges were serious. Allegations of robbery and kidnapping involving Gucci Mane, one of the most iconic figures in trap music. According to reports, the incident took place at gunpoint inside a Dallas recording studio. What makes this story even more shocking is the timing. The son, Pooh Shiesty, born Lontrell Williams Jr., was reportedly on home detention, wearing a federal ankle monitor, and had only been released from prison a little over 6 months earlier. But this isn't just a crime story. It's a family story. Pooh Shiesty wasn't just another rapper out of Memphis. He was a breakout star who helped push Memphis drill into the national spotlight. His 2021 debut mixtape Shiesty Season made a major impact, reaching number 12 on the Billboard charts and featuring major names like Gucci Mane and his close collaborator Big 30. The streets supported him, the industry backed him, and his family stood by his side. But success didn't shield him from consequences. By 2022, the legal system caught up. Pooh Shiesty found himself facing federal charges tied to a gun conspiracy case out of Miami, ultimately leading to a 5-year prison sentence. This is the story behind the headlines, the people involved, the choices made, and the ripple effect left behind for those closest to him.
Pooh Shiesty is facing prison time after pleading guilty to a gun charge in Miami federal court. The case against Lontrell Williams Jr. stems from 3 shootings during the past 2 years, 2 of them happening right here in South.
He came home in October 2025 to a moment that felt like a fresh start, a new car, overwhelming fan love, and a celebration that quickly went viral online. His mother, Gladys Baines, watched her son step back into freedom with every reason to believe the worst was finally behind him. But it wasn't. Just 3 months later, everything took a devastating turn. In January 2026, he allegedly entered a recording studio in Dallas, Texas, alongside 9 others, including his own father, and became involved in an incident that would send shockwaves through hip-hop, through Memphis, and most painfully, through his own family. Gladys Baines was left behind, forced to watch it all fall apart in real time. To understand how everything unraveled, you have to go back to the beginning. Pooh Shiesty, born Lontrell Williams Jr., grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, a city with a culture unlike anywhere else in South. Memphis has its own sound, its own code, and its own movement. It's the city that gave the world 3-6 Mafia, pioneers who shaped a gritty, influential style of street music that the rest of the country would later embrace. Shiesty came out of that environment, raised by his mother, who supported him from day one. When his music career began gaining real traction, especially after a major co-sign from Gucci Mane and a deal with 1017 Records in 2020, it seemed like everything his family had worked toward was finally paying off. His father, Lontrell Williams Sr., was also present in his life, close, involved, and, according to federal prosecutors, more deeply connected to his son's world than many realized. Then there was Big 30, born Rodney Wright Jr., his day one friend from Memphis. They grew up together, recorded music together, and supported each other's rise. When Shiesty season took off, Big 30 was right there beside him. When Shiesty went to prison, Big 30 kept moving forward. And when he came home, that loyalty was still intact. That bond is now under scrutiny because prosecutors claim it's part of what placed Big 30 among the 9 individuals present in that Dallas studio on January 10th, 2026. The moment everything escalated into a federal case. Back in October 2025, when Shiesty walked out of federal prison, he had already served 3 years of a 5-year sentence. He had pleaded guilty to conspiracy to possess a firearm in connection with violent crimes and drug trafficking. His release came early, and it came with attention, fans flooding social media, celebrating his return. But it also came with strict conditions. He was placed on federal home detention, required to wear an ankle monitor, and expected to follow the law closely. It was a second chance, but one that came with very little room for mistakes.
6. Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty was out of federal prison. Court records show the Memphis native, whose real name is Lantrell Williams Jr., was released from a Pennsylvania facility after serving time for a gun charge in Florida. Williams was sentenced in 2022 to just over 5 years for conspiring to possess firearms tied to drug trafficking and violent crimes. His attorney confirmed the release, saying he's eager to return to the studio and make new.
The conditions of his release were strict. He was prohibited from committing any new federal offenses, barred from possessing a firearm, and limited in where he could go. He was under constant supervision. The government was watching closely. According to prosecutors, in the months after returning home, Pooh Shiesty began having issues with his record deal. He was still signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 records, and sources say he wasn't satisfied with the situation. By 2024, Gucci Mane had reportedly released most of the artists from his label, but notably kept 2, with Shiesty being one of them. That detail stands out. Even while he was incarcerated, Gucci Mane chose to keep him signed. But according to federal prosecutors, that's exactly what Shiesty couldn't move past. Here's where the situation takes a serious turn. Instead of pursuing legal options, such as hiring an attorney, working through management, or negotiating through industry channels, prosecutors allege that he began planning something far more extreme, something that involved 9 individuals, a trip from Memphis to Dallas, a stop at a Staples store, and the involvement of weapons. Fast forward to January 10th, 2026. Shiesty allegedly reached out to Gucci Mane and arranged a meeting, a studio session in Dallas, presented as an opportunity to discuss and resolve the contract dispute face-to-face. Gucci Mane agreed, flying in from Atlanta with 2 members of his team, including his head of security. They arrived that Saturday afternoon expecting a routine business conversation. But according to federal court documents, the situation had already been set in motion. Investigators claimed that earlier that day, Shiesty's father, Lantrell Williams Sr., visited a Staples store where he allegedly printed documents related to contract termination, papers that prosecutors believe were intended to be presented to Gucci Mane during the meeting. By the time everyone arrived at the studio, authorities say the outcome had already been decided. At approximately 3:43 p.m., the group entered the building. 3 individuals, believed to be victims, walked in expecting a professional setting. What followed over the next hour, according to federal authorities, is now being described as a coordinated, armed takeover. At one point, Shiesty asked to speak privately with Gucci Mane and brought him into a recording room. Inside, according to an FBI affidavit, were 3 people: Shiesty himself, his father Lantrell Williams Sr., and Big 30 Rodney Wright Jr. 3 against 1, and the situation was about to escalate even further.
Williams Jr. arranged this meeting purportedly to discuss the terms of his recording contract with one of the victims.
According to prosecutors, Pooh Shiesty placed contract termination papers on the table in front of Gucci Mane and demanded that he sign them. Gucci Mane refused. That's when authorities allege Shiesty pulled out an AK-style pistol and pointed it at the very man who had helped launch his career, the founder of 1017 Records, the artist who gave him his first major cosign, and someone who continued to support him even during his time in federal prison. Faced with that threat, Gucci Mane signed. But the situation didn't end there. Prosecutors claimed the incident quickly escalated into a robbery. After the papers were signed, Shiesty allegedly took Gucci Mane's valuables, his wedding ring, watch, earrings, cash, everything he had on him. At the same time, outside the recording room, the remaining 6 co-defendants reportedly drew weapons on 2 other individuals. One victim, identified in court documents as M, was forced onto a couch and robbed his wallet and jewelry. Another, identified as BP, was allegedly choked from behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness before being stripped a Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag, Apple AirPods, and other valuables. Prosecutors also allege that Big 30, Rodney Wright Jr., stood guard at the studio door, physically blocking the exit to ensure no one could leave until everything was over. At one point, according to the criminal complaint, the victims believed they were about to be killed. In that moment, inside a Dallas studio on a Saturday afternoon, they thought it was the end. Eventually, they were ordered out. The group then fled the scene, loading into multiple vehicles, including a 2020 Dodge Charger Hellcat registered to Shiesty's father, as well as 2 rental cars also in his father's name. They left the studio, checked into a hotel in Dallas that same night, and within hours, prosecutors say, several co-defendants began posting on social media, displaying the stolen jewelry and showing off the Rolex watches, effectively broadcasting key evidence to their own followers. The investigation that followed was swift and overwhelming. What stands out most, according to authorities, is how much of the evidence came directly from the defendants themselves.
Hours of leaving the Dallas studio, a number of the defendants were on social media displaying some of the items that appeared to be the jewelry that had been robbed from the victim.
The ankle monitor on Pooh Shiesty's leg placed him at the studio at the exact time of the alleged robbery, directly violating the terms of his home detention. He was supposed to be at home, but instead, federal tracking data had him at the scene in real time, before authorities even knew what happened. From there, the evidence began to stack up. License plate reader data showed a convoy traveling from Memphis to Dallas in the days leading up to January 10th. Cell phone records matched that same timeline. Rental car documents tied Lantrell Williams, Sr. to the vehicles used. Surveillance footage from the studio, a nearby office building, the Staples store, and the hotel where the group stayed, captured key moments before and after the incident. Then came forensic evidence. Investigators recovered fingerprints from inside the studio, including prints lifted from red plastic cups left behind, which were later matched to multiple defendants. And then, one of the most striking pieces of evidence, an Apple AirTag. One of the stolen wallets reportedly contained an AirTag, and its last recorded location led investigators to a parking lot adjacent to an apartment building leased by Lantrell Williams Sr., the same building where Shiesty had been staying. That single device effectively guided federal agents straight back to their door. On April 1st, 2026, FBI agents executed coordinated search and arrest warrants. Lantrell Williams Sr. was taken into custody in Memphis, while Shiesty, who had been staying at a residential reentry facility in Dallas, was arrested there. In total, 8 of the 9 suspects were apprehended across Dallas, Memphis, and Nashville in a single operation. The 9th, Terrence Rogers, was still being sought at the time of the Department of Justice announcement. When the 32-page criminal complaint was unsealed, the full story became public, including what allegedly happened to Gucci Mane inside that Dallas studio. That's when the internet erupted. Court documents revealed that one of the victims, identified as Roger Davis, Gucci Mane's legal name, cooperated with investigators. He reportedly identified his attacker by Instagram handle and described the individuals involved in detail. Almost immediately, 50 Cent reacted online, referencing Gucci Mane's past and questioning how someone with his reputation ended up cooperating in a federal case. The post was later deleted, but screenshots spread quickly. The debate was instant and deeply divided. Was Gucci Mane wrong for cooperating as a victim of an armed robbery and alleged kidnapping? Or did his past image and street code change how people viewed his actions? Meanwhile, Big 30's attorney, Arthur Horn, issued a statement emphasizing that his client had no prior criminal history and urging the public not to rush to judgment. He expressed hope that Big 30 would be granted bond and allowed to fight the case from outside custody. All 9 defendants now face extremely serious charges, each potentially carrying a maximum sentence of life in federal prison if convicted. But beyond the legal headlines, there's a deeper human story, one that centers on Gladys Baines. On the morning of April 1st, she watched FBI agents enter her home and take Lantrell Williams Sr. into custody. At that same time, her son, who had only been home for 6 months, whose return had been celebrated by fans and family alike, was being arrested in another state. Her son and his father, gone on the same morning in the same federal case. She didn't hold a press conference. She didn't give interviews. Instead, she turned to social media, posting brief messages rooted in faith.